Welcome back, family. So today we're going to examine Jason Aldean's new song, Try That in a Small Town. This song is under criticism. It's been banned on a couple platforms, at least one that I know of, CNT. And a lot of people are up in arms about this, calling it racist and saying that his imagery doesn't paint a particular community in a good light. And it's been all over the place, and I'm here to give you my opinions on it. Now, my opinion is going to be two parts, because I'm going to tell you what my personal opinion is, and I'm going to tell you what I feel everyone else's opinion might be. Keep in mind, an opinion is just that. We all have it, and I'm sharing mine with you. So, first and foremost, my personal opinion is that this isn't a racist song whatsoever. You can't run down the street waving a racist flag at this because there's no overt evidence for it. Now, the imagery shown on this video were gathered from actual news footage. The spitting on the cop, white lady doing that, the armed robberies could have been blacks, but they were masked. I think there was a strategic effort not to lace this thing with people of color so that people wouldn't point to it and say, that's racist. Now, for me, the word racist is not something that gets used in my vocabulary very often, because the word is used too loosely these days. If you are a white person that disagrees with any particular black agenda, you're a racist. If you don't support Black Lives Matter, you're a racist. You're a Republican, you're a racist. These things gets thrown around too loosely, and I reserve the right not to use it until I believe it's fitting. So let's take a look at Jason's tweet before the song actually went out. He says, "Got another new one coming at y'all. To me, this song summarizes the way a lot of people feel about the world right now. It seems like there are bad things happening on a daily basis, and that feels unfamiliar to a lot of us. This song sheds light on that. Give it a listen." Not too much there to me, but let's continue. When you grow up in a small town, it's the unspoken rule. We all have each other's backs and we look out for each other. It feels like somewhere along the way, that sense of community and respect has gotten lost. Deep down, we are all ready to get back to that. I hope my new music video helps y'all know that you are not alone in feeling that way. Go check it out. Again, not much there. So after the song came out, Jason received a lot of backlash. Some people calling for this song to be canceled, for himself to be canceled, and he was accused of inciting violence and creating a division amongst the people. So he reacted to this with this post. He says, "In the past 24 hours, I have been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May, and was subject to the comparison that I, direct quote, was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protest. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. There is not a single lyric in the song that references race or point to it. And there isn't a single video clip that isn't real news footage. And while I can try to respect others to have their own interpretations of a song, music, this one goes too far." And I sort of agree. He puts up another post saying, "Try That in a Small Town for me refers to the feeling of a community that I had growing up, where we took care of our neighbors, regardless of differences or background or beliefs, because they were our neighbors, and that was above any differences. My political views have never been something I've hidden from, and I know that a lot of us in this country don't agree on how we get back to a sense of normalcy where we go at least one day without a headline that keeps us up at night. But the desire for it, that's what this song is about." Now, that was my first opinion on this song. The overwhelming material and video clips and messages here were not overtly racist, and I don't believe that it deserves this level of protest. But having said that, I'll say this. The wording here suggests a subtle layer of what some might perceive as racist. Let us examine the lyrics here, and I'll tell you why some might perceive this as, again, subtle racism. Here's the lyrics. Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk. Carjack an old lady at the red light. Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. Y'all think it's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. Without continuing on, which I will, but who is he talking about here? The feeling to most black people is that he's talking about us. That's the subtlety of this. This is why people are outraged about this. Who is he talking to? Now, keep in mind, the rioters, the protesters, most of them were white, but who gets the backlash for it? We do. Most of the BLM protesters that were burning down police headquarters or other public places were white. They were actually Antifa protesters, and for whatever reason, whenever they talk about rioting, yes, there was some rioting done and some black looters, but for the most part, all of the anarchy and all the nonsense that went on with the protests for the George Floyd killing, that stuff was done mainly by white. But we know as black people that we get the brunt of it, and people are pointing to us as the people who executed this. So when we hear things like this is the feeling. You're talking about us. Let us continue. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face. Stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah? Y'all think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down. The road around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, and it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. To me, that lyric there is a warning call for the looters who are perceived to be black, not to come around his town, a small town, and try the same thing that they've done in the bigger towns, the cities, where they were rioting and protesting, because they're going to take care of you if you try it in a small town. Again, who is he talking about? Who's perceived to have done all this? He's talking to us. That's how most people would perceive this, and that's how this is being labeled a racist song. Got a gun my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city, but good luck. Try that in a small town. I don't believe that that particular line has anything to do with racist. As a matter of fact, the people that are coming for your guns are not people of color at all. It's the government, who's comprised mainly of white folks. So to me, that's not a racist bar at all, but this one is. He says, full of good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. Now, the reference, good old boys. To me, that's a direct, I wouldn't say racist line, but it's highly suggestive. The good old boys is a reference that came around in civil rights era, and it has been adapted by what you would call rednecks. It's a euphemism term, which people who would be referred to as rednecks, that redneck term might be offensive to some, but if you refer to that same person as a good old boy, he might not take such offense to it. Now, for most of us in the North, we certainly feel that there's a sentiment that most deep South citizens are anti-black or just don't like black people. Now, I'm not professing this to be fact or true. I'm just saying that's the sentiment that we feel. So I'll play you another clip and ask the question again, who are you talking to? Check this out.
What would you do if I broke in your house? Now, hold on just a minute, Skittles. I live down here in the South, and we protect ourselves with pit bulls and pew-pews. And the real question is, which one of them's going to get you first? Because I be diddly dad burn. We get up too early, stay up too late, and work too damn hard for our shit to be letting somebody who looks like they tasted the rainbow come in and take our stuff. No, honey. Down here, we just soon send your soul to Jesus and let him sort it out. You know what I mean? This is the way I see it. If you're ever skipping your happy ass down here on the streets in the South and you get this hair up your butt to come into one of our houses, I suggest you do one of two things, baby. You hit your knees and you start praying to the Lord because you fixing to meet him. Or you just keep skipping your happy ass until you get out of town. Now, I personally think the latter of the two choices is the better choice, but bless your heart. You can choose either one you like. Just, baby, choose wisely, okay? Have a nice day.
Now I gotta tell you, I agree with everything that she said. I myself am a gun owner. As a matter of fact, you've seen this t-shirt. If you've seen my music video for Time Goes, this is the exact one that I wore. And on another music video, I also wore a pro-America gun ownership rights to bear arm t-shirt. So yeah, I agree with her 100%. But there's that small, subtle messaging that most black people who view this clip are going to ask themselves, who are you talking to? Because the clown that you had on the beginning of the clip wearing rainbow fronts, which is another subtle disrespect as far as I'm concerned, but there's nobody looking like that coming to rob you or break into your house. I believe the people you are referencing and warning not to come into your house because we know how Southerners get down, I believe you're talking to black people. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe most people are getting from Jason Aldean's song. They feel like all of this stuff is targeted at black people. You're talking to us. You're pointing the finger at us. He says, point a gun at the owner of the liquor store. Now, we know in most impoverished areas, in most ghettos, there are three things to be found. One, you're always going to find a fried chicken spot. You're always going to find a church in every other block. And the third thing that is highly prevalent in these communities are a liquor store. So again, subtle messaging. And a lot of people are catching it. Now, I'm telling you right now, I'm not 100% sure that that was his intent with those lyrics, but it certainly seems that way. Another thing, the imagery in the video, the shot that he took in front of that courthouse was the Mary, Tennessee courthouse where in 1927, a black man was publicly hung there. So was that another subtle messaging that you're trying to send? I can't prove that with 100% certainty, but it does leave space for the imagination to consider, what are you trying to get at here? What are you saying? So I am going to reserve the right to be wrong. That's what an opinion is. If information is later presented to me that contradicts everything I'm saying here, I'm willing to examine that. But for me, like I said earlier, I don't think that this video or this song should be banned on any level. People should have their rights to be as creative as they want to, and there's nothing overtly offensive here. It's the subtleness of what he might be saying that are stirring people the wrong way. What do you guys think? Please be sure to leave your comments. I'm dying to hear what you think. If I'm far off the mark here, or am I making sense in some way? Thank you for tuning in one more time. I'll catch you on the next one.